Back to introducing our pattern speaker tonight, Mr. Dan Darnell, speaking Sharpen the Blade. Help me welcome Sharpen the Blade, Mr. Dan Darnell.
Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and especially most welcome guests. It's early in the morning. The birds are chirping outside. You're in that half awake, half asleep state. You're trying to snuggle back under the blanket and your pillow. You glance over to your alarm clock. You go try to find that comfortable spot. And all of a sudden, your eyes get wide open. You stare at the alarm clock again and realize the alarm didn't go off. You jump out of bed with the energy of a superhero. You dash into the restroom to take a shower. The shower was so fast, the soap didn't even have a chance to get wet. You jump in the car. All right, I got time. You get to the highway, and it's bumper to bumper. You keep telling yourself, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time. I see nods in the audience that happen to a few of us. It probably happens more than we would like to admit to in the morning. An author, Mark Levy, while doing research for one of his books, found a fantastic bit of information. Did you know we all have access to a bank account of over 86,000? That have your interest? There's pros and cons with this account, though. A pro is we get a deposit every day. The con is we have to use everything in the account every day. We can't take it to the next day. Of course, that is our bank account of time. We all have the same amount of time. It's 86,400 seconds. What we do with that time helps us to become who we are and those accomplishments that we can get done. An example of this is a story out of the Northwest. There was a young man that was starting a new business. We'll call him Paul. Paul was starting a sawmill. He got his first big account. He was able to make those orders or cut those boards very quickly during the day. But over the next few months, it got harder and harder. Paul had to work long hours, even through the weekend, to keep up with the orders coming in. It was affecting his family life. His family and friends were worried. They weren't seeing Paul at those events. So his buddy, his best friend, we'll call him Blue, came to see him at the sawmill. He goes, Paul, what's wrong? We haven't seen you in weeks. Paul goes, well, I got this big order. I need to get it out. I have to work harder. Well, Blue goes, well, you used to be able to come to dinner and do things on the weekend. Yeah, but I got to get this order out. I got to get this order out. Well, Blue goes, have you thought about sharpening your blade? Well, Paul goes, well, I don't have time to sharpen the blade. I got to get this order out. Think for a moment. The last time that you were stressed out at work or at home, when you thought that you didn't have enough time, did you plan to sharpen your blade? That's the trouble in life. We are so involved in whether it's in Toastmasters even, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, or other organizations we are part of. We are all volunteers and feel great about being able to help others. There are those times, though, that we don't say no, Carol, like at contests. We need to plan time for ourselves. We need to enable ourselves to sharpen our own blades. If our blades are sharp, we're on that cutting edge. We're able to get through our work, our tasks of the day, very quickly, and still have time for our family and our friends. Time for ourselves. That's the secret of those most successful people that you know. They take time for themselves. They take time to sharpen their blade. They take time to be able to do more and more because their blade is sharp. I challenge each and every one of you tonight. The next time that you feel stressed, take time for yourself. Sharpen your blade. Madam Contest Master.
Speaker tonight, help me welcome Mr. John Berry. John Berry.
Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters guests, and especially Dan. There you are. Dan, I loved your message. I loved your story. Sharpen the blade. First question I asked myself, well, what's the objective in this speech? What should I look for? I think it was speaking to inspire. You want to inspire your audience to make better use of their time. I like the way you opened. It's early morning. I overslept. I only have 86,000. I was wondering whether that was dollars or what. But you told us, you revealed that it was seconds. We had 86,000 seconds. What do we do with our time? And the brilliant blue said, sharpen the blade. How obvious was that? I liked, and it turned out it was a metaphor. It was a metaphor for all of us to follow, to sharpen the blade, to sharpen our minds. What do we need to do that? We need to make better use of our time. I loved the metaphor. I liked your delivery. Your voice was strong. You have a confident manner. Gestures, hand gestures, body movement. I liked your passion and your energy. What I liked best though, I liked your voice and your confidence. I liked the metaphor, I liked the story. What could you have done better? Dan, I like when I speak to look at the four corners of the room. Look at the back corner, make sure you make contact back there. Make sure you make contact over here in the front. Carol was over there all alone. And I think your focus was mainly in the middle. You did venture over to this side occasionally, but on the right side, I would have paid more attention to the right side. And then more contact on the back of the room. Better use of the stage, more movement. More movement. This is an oblong room, so it's a little difficult to manage the stage. But in summary, I love the metaphor, I love the message, I like your delivery. Make better use of your eye contact around the room, and we look forward to your next speech. Thank you very much for being our fan.
Our next contestant is Aditi Sinha. Please help me welcome Aditi Sinha.
Do I see that? What a wonderful speech, I have to say. It was beautifully thought, beautifully written, and beautifully delivered. It was very, very inspiring for all the audiences sitting here, and I have to commend you for taking it from a story to actually involving a lesson within the very speech itself. I have to say, whenever one is speaking or giving or delivering a speech, there has to be a proper introduction, body, and conclusion. Your speech had that very beautifully done. Whenever we are trying to contact, or I would say enhance the relationship between the audience and the speaker, the first thing that comes is an icebreaker. You broke the ice very beautifully with involving everyone of us with the story that you told us. We were able to envision the story, be with you. The touch of humor was just genius. We all had a good time while listening to you. At the same time, we were learning and making notes and probably thinking about how we could actually use all the points that you were saying during your speech. The confidence that you had, the way you were moving around, the use of body language, gestures, eye contact with everyone was way too perfect. It would have to be more in terms of enhancing the speech with body language. I know it's a term that I've read about, I've heard about. I've not yet used it myself, but at the same time, there are people who actually speak through body language. So when you have a sync between what you're saying and what you're doing, people take the point more home, take the point home. I would like to say that it was a very effective speech, transitioned from one point to the other very well. It was a good use of the anecdote plus the story. The very beginning had all of us engaged because we were thinking about Sharpen the Blade, yet we were listening to a story that wasn't actually relating to it too much. So we were kind of enthusiastically waiting for it to take us some point. I would say whenever you are delivering the next speech, you should kind of have more the topic or the beginning of the speech, so everyone is more able to understand and relate it to. At the same, I would like to just add and conclude by saying, all in all, a very good speech, and I would like to hear many more speeches from you. Thank you.
Now help me welcome Valerie Bresci.
Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and Dan, especially you. It was very evident tonight as you were speaking that you are a seasoned and polished speaker, so thank you for the challenge in this evaluation. I wanted to comment on the number that was so important in your speech. That number was 86,400 seconds. And I find it fascinating in our lives how important of a role numbers actually are. You have to know your phone number, your social security number, your spouse's birthday, and it's important to also know that we have 86,400 seconds in a day. And all that's in our personal life. But what's really interesting is that there's a whole different set of numbers that are really important in the Toastmaster and public speaking world. And those numbers are the number 7, the number 3, and the number 1. And in my analysis of your speech, I'd like to talk about those numbers and how you address those in the speech that you gave to us tonight. So let's first look at the number 7. Research suggests that no matter how long the speech is that you're giving, you have 7 seconds. That's it. The first 7 seconds are what you have to get your audience's attention. They're going to decide whether they listen or not. And Dan, in your speech, you started out with a greeting to all of us, and then you switched to storytelling mode. And you did a wonderful job of changing your voice and drawing us in closer and closer, wanting to hear what the rest of the story is. Now, one of the things you might want to consider is if you have those 7 seconds, rather than spending the first few of those addressing everyone, get us with that story, and then greet us all at that point. Just an option as far as flip-flopping that. Now, the next number is the number 3. And for me, I'm using that as 3D, three-dimensional. How do you use the stage, the length, the width, the depth, in order to further engage your audience? And Dan, you did a great job of using and incorporating the entire stage, as well as bringing eye contact to everyone. One thing you might want to consider is using the stage with more purpose. Even though you walked and you used all the different corners of the stage, perhaps you have a certain area of the stage that is your storytelling mode. Or this is one story, and over here is a second story, and over here is a third story. The final number is the number 1. And the number 1 is, when we're writing speeches, is trying to come up with that one takeaway. What is the one thing that we want the audience to remember? And you nailed it. You really wanted us to get that we have 86,400 seconds, and how are we using it? And is our blade sharp enough in order for us to be as effective and enjoy life as much as we want to? So I thank you for reminding us of that message. So those are the numbers, 7, 3, and 1. And I'd invite you to perhaps further explore your storytelling skills with the Advanced Manual of Storytelling, because it really is a joy to listen to you. Madam Contest Master?
Our fourth contestant tonight is Ms. Claire Anderson. Please help me welcome Claire Anderson.
Dan, that was a wonderful speech. I enjoyed it very much. You have a very strong voice. I know you know that. You have a very strong presence up here on the stage. It's commanding. Your message was a very strong one as well. And great for this audience, I believe. Certainly great for me. But when I hear stories about what else these Toastmasters do outside of Toastmasters, I'm always impressed. We're all busy. And to hear the message of take time to sharpen the blade, powerful, very powerful. It was such a good speech. I have three things that I think would sharpen the speech. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests, 3 things. When you came out, you had a very powerful opening. Your opening was strong. We were in it. But you didn't shake hands with Carol. I wanted you to shake hands with Carol, okay? It's a little thing. It's a kind of a picky thing. And the fact that I have to pick on something small is a blessing. It means that you did a great job with your speech. But I wanted that. I wanted you to connect with her like you connected with us. You got those affirmations from us during your speech. You did that. You said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something a couple of times you said, "Are you with me?" And we were. It was great. Another thing that I wanted was for you not to spend so much time over here. Because I was behind that pole right there, and I kept having to do this and this. I wanted you to move around a lot. This stage is a very difficult one, at least in my experience. This is a tough stage. Really difficult to try to see everybody and have them see you. So I wanted that. The third thing that I wanted, and I really think this is the most important improvement to sharpen your speech, I wanted more. I wanted to flesh it out a little more. You had a message, Dan, but you didn't have enough story for me. I wanted more story. Or maybe more than one story. So in summary, you have a very strong presence, a very strong voice, a wonderful message. I want more story. Thank you very much. Madam Contest.
contestant tonight is Miss Carol Warner. Please help me welcome Carol Warner.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, especially you, Dan. Sharpen your blade, Dan Darnell. Interesting title. Wondered where you were going, as I guess everybody else was, and the best thing I can say is it was a really, really good speech with a particularly valuable lesson. Time is finite, we know that, and most of us don't make the best use of it. So reminding us how important it is to do that is something that we need to be reminded of again and again, and you did that. As far as the organization of the speech went, it was ideal. You opened up with a story, you showed us where you were going with it, you piqued our interest, especially when you came up with the bank account of $86,000. Suddenly you got all of us involved, because after all, you need to bring us in order for it to be a really good speech. And then you managed to do that. As far as presentation is concerned, you're a fine speaker. You truly are. In fact, in the room while we were being briefed, we talked about, somebody mentioned the fact that, well, he's a good speaker, he'll probably build a few things in so that you can pick them out. And I thought, how arrogant to think that someone thinks they speak so well that they have to build in little issues so that we who evaluate will be able to pick them out. You know what? You speak really well. It was not easy to do that, honestly. I had a really, really tough time. Number one, you commanded the stage when you got up here. You included us in everything that you did. You spoke with a good, clear voice. Your eye contact, and this is where I thought I'd get you. I was sitting there, and I can tell you from being here how difficult it is to bring them in. You managed to do it. I'm not going to tell you that I thought you really were directing the speech at me, but you turned that way often enough to make me feel you cared about the fact that there really were people that were sitting offline. So if I were to say, gee, this is one area that you could improve on, it would probably be your gestures. Pardon me, I lost my glasses, and these are the Walgreens type. Your gestures were good, not great, adequate. A lot of this could probably be more expansive in order to do a better job with the speech. But on the whole, I was really blown away. I thought you did a remarkable job with a really good subject that was important for all of us to hear. And I totally enjoyed your speech. Thank you.
For the Spring 2015 Evaluation Contest, our third place winner is John Berry. Mr. John Berry. Our second place winner in the evaluation contest is Miss Carol Warner. And since she had to leave, Tom Kasha is accepting this award for Carol. Guess they didn't tell Tom. Save the humor for the fall. First place of the Spring 2015 2015 District 8 Evaluation Contest goes to Valerie Rush. That concludes this evening's contest.